Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next. And yeah, new year, fresh start. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I finished one book that I did start in December, but I read most of it in January. I have like 2 short story things I want to talk about because I'm trying to read more short stories, and I also just like one of them I really want to yammer about. And then I am halfway through another book. And I do think I know what I'm probably reading next, but like we'll see what my mood does as it goes. But the first thing I finished this year was Paladin of Souls. I bought this mass market copy at the Brookline Booksmith when I went home to visit because I was buying Christmas presents and I was like, I need something for myself. And so this is what I bought for myself. And it's actually a really nice mass market. Like, it opens really easily. You don't have to like feel like you're destroying the glue binding on the back of it. And so this is the sequel in, I think it's the World of the Five Gods series. The first one's The Curse of Chalion, which people talk about a lot. I read it last year. I really like it. Kaz, an amazing character. That's a reluctant hero, forced to be mentor character. There's a curse. He's trying to break it. It's a classic Bujold, and this is also a classic Bujold. Now, there's a character in The Curse of Chalion who's the main character here, and that is Ista, and that is who we see on the cover of this book. And because of the church, Ista didn't have a lot, not the church, because of the curse, Ista did not have a lot of agency in the previous book. But now she's a 40-year-old woman, and she's basically trying to figure out where she wants to be in life, and also trying to find agency as people and gods force her into situations. And the banter Bujold always has, amazing. It's such a vibrant, well-lived-in world. You don't get a lot of exposition dumps, and jumping into this after not having read Curse of Chalion for 6 months, I'm like, wait, what is happening here? How does the pantheons work? But like, you really do just organically start to feel in the world. The conflicts make sense. It's also very, I think, inspired. I think the first book was inspired by something that happened in Spain hundreds of years ago. I don't know a lot about European history. And so I think because it's grounded in those things, a lot of the politics kind of makes sense in why certain things are going on. And I'm just really excited to read the next one. And it was a perfect way to start my year with a Bujold. And Ista's amazing. And like I said, the banter's amazing. The sarcasm, the sass, the heavy moments. Again, she does such a good job of balancing fun, banter, coolness with emotional beats in a way that I think few authors do successfully. So again, if you haven't read Bujold and you've heard me talk about the Verkosigan saga a lot, which is the sci-fi series, I have been diving into her fantasy, and it's very good. It's different, but it's very good. And then I picked up this as my next read, which is To Shape a Dragon's Breath. The sequel comes out soon. And I have been hearing conflicting reports if it's a duology or trilogy, but I think it's probably a trilogy, so that's what I'm erring on the side of. But I guess as the second book comes out and we find out. This has been so fun. This has been so fun for me. I'm about halfway through. I have the audiobook as well. Got it with my Libro FM Christmas credits, which is quite fun because I also bought this from Hexagon Books, and now my credit goes to help Hexagon Books, and I just feel like a patron of my favorite bookstore. Highly recommend if you're able to. It just makes you feel good when the world makes you feel meh, which is, So this is a very familiar story, and yet it feels fresh enough to keep me interested. Like, I get both the benefits of a familiar story where you're like, yeah, I love that I'm feeling like I'm reading something that I used to read all the time, but also it's different enough where you're like, but there's still stuff to explore. I still don't actually know what this character is going to do, and I actually don't know where this is going to end up. So there's enough mystery there. This is a magic school or dragon school type book. So it does follow a lot of beats of magic school tropes. Our main character is a fish out of water in a magic school. People are mean to her because she is different in ways that are ostracized in society. And this is heavily inspired by North American history, especially North American history with Indigenous people, and forcing Indigenous people to go to schools like this, and how that separates them from their people and their culture. So in this world, usually the rich get access to eggs, and they bond with dragons, who are a lot like dogs in this book so far. So if you don't like your dragons to be like dogs, and if you like your dragons to talk, that is not currently something that has happened here. And our main character on her island, which is still currently it's kind of brought into the North American sphere, but they're like still allowed to like be their own people. A dragon lays an egg, the egg hatches, bonds with our main character. And now she has to go to this dragon school, A, to prevent war and hostility, and B, because she needs to learn how to shape the dragon's breath, which is important. And so we have like classic school stuff. You have a chemistry class, you have like a math class, you have a literature class. Like you have like, if you like watching students go to classes and then have to deal with the work and like learn how to make friends, deal with bullies, like all the things that come with a school book, that's in here. Something I really like is our main character, among her culture, she is considered an adult. She's only 15 in the book, but when she turned 12, she became a woman and has been treated with that type of responsibility and respect. And she really carries herself. I feel that way, and I really like how she carries herself. I also really like how she is someone who's not trying to make waves. She really doesn't have anything to prove. She's really going to school primarily because she wants to learn how to shape a dragon's breath so that she and her dragon can then help her community, because when you can shape a dragon's breath, you can make useful minerals, and, you know, she wants to help her people. But she will also, though, be very quick to not just, like, play nice to get over a situation. Like, if she thinks someone's in the wrong, she brings it up and she's very blunt in a way that I find incredibly refreshing. So, all of those things are why I'm really enjoying this book. My issues is more that I have been knitting and, like... I mean, I think I'm almost at the part in the knitting project where I could just listen to the book and I won't lose things. But, like, just for context, I'm doing a color work project, and so this is my swatch right now. And I'm now working on the yoke, but this was the swatch I made first. And so, yeah, I'm just, like, kind of obsessed and want to work on this project. So this is my physical immersion. And another problem is I don't have the ebook. And so at night, when we turn off the lights to go to bed, I can still read, but I have to read on my Kindle. And so I can't be reading this. But it's been quite enjoyable. And, like, if you don't want on-the-nose theming or complete, you know, metaphors to our world, it might not work for you. For me, I think it's good. Like, I don't think there's any issue with that. It's not like we have many books like this. Like, we have many books of people fish out of water in a school setting, but we haven't had one so directly tied, I think, to North American history, and I think that's important. I will say, though, I do think in terms of naming conventions, we didn't have to, like, name everything as uniquely as we did with so many Ks. Like, sometimes I'll look at the map just to be like, so wait, what is this in reference to? Because the map is essentially, like, it's our map. Like, it is our globe. So, like, sometimes we'll mention something like, oh, okay, so you're Spain. Got it. And I'm like, but, like, that word didn't look like Spain to me. Versus, like, England is, like, Anglin's land. So, like, that one made sense. So that's, like, my only, like, quibble. But otherwise, I'm having a really fun time. Other things that I'm doing. I am probably next up going to read The Employees, which is a novella. Novelette novella. It's short. It's for my local book club. We're going to have a discussion on it. And it looks kind of funny. Like, I think it's kind of, like, futuristic, satire, dystopian. And, like, I didn't know that that's what it would be. And I'm, like, kind of excited to read it now that I've, like, read some parts of what it might be about. So I'm hoping it really lands. I don't have access to the audiobook, but that shouldn't be a problem. I do have the ebook now on my Kindle from the library, but that's probably up next because I do think this time next week I'm supposed to be discussing it. Like, I haven't checked the calendar, but I'm, like, pretty sure that's what's happening, so that's why I'm pretty sure this is next. And then in terms of audiobook, I think I'm going to start the Patreon buddy read, which is The Dispossessed, and Ursula K. Le Guin, and yeah, I'm hoping it goes well for me. I'm, like, nervous excited about it. So that'll be another thinky sci-fi book. And so far it feels like the month has been, like, genre diverse enough. Because, like, even though my first two have been fantasy, this is, like, classic gods, medieval fantasy. I mean, I say classic. It has, like, demons and stuff in it. I don't know. Like, the set pieces, you know, the type of equipment and tech we have, more medieval. This one is definitely more industrial, which I like, and it's, like I said, it's got dragons in a school setting, and so I'm excited for that. Now, in terms of short stories, because I have been having such a fun time with short stories, and I read 2 this week, and one of them, like, I think is fine, and I actually think if you're looking to get into short stories, it's a novelette, and I think it's actually a very engaging novelette, so I'll start with that one, because it's not my favorite of the 2 I've read, but this is Starter Family. And I'll link it down below. These are free to read. Like, you just click the link and you go to the magazine's website, and they're just on the website. I like reading them on my phone. So, like, whenever I'm, like, scrolling on Bluesky or Instagram too much, I'll, like, switch to a short story and scroll on my phone that way. That seems to have been a good replacement, because I can scroll on my phone for like a 20-page story. I don't like to scroll on my phone for like a whole novel. So if you're someone in the new year who's trying to find new ways to hack your relationship with your phone, could be a fun one. Starter Family, I think this one is a very engaging, perfect dystopian future world, you know. It's going to give you Stepford vibes. It's going to give you The Giver vibes. It's very quick. And it's definitely just very engaging. It's not necessarily that you can't predict what's happening. It's just really, I think, sometimes engaging to watch something so bad happen from the safety of, like, maybe you're less bad. Like, we're still in a bad place, but we're not quite where this world is. And, you know, I found it predictable, but it was engaging. And for a novelette, that's pretty good because they're the longer short stories. So that's what I read this morning, actually. I just don't want to say too much because, like, kind of the fun of it is watching it unfurl, even if you can predict it. But the one I really like, and this is a short story that I think is so timely, and if it works for you, I think it's really helpful. And maybe for some people, it really won't work for them. But its title, it's actually, short stories love having like long titles sometimes. But this is 10 Visions of the Future, or Self-Care for the End of Days. And this is by Samantha Mills, who last year I read The Wings Upon Her Back. And this is a very short story. It is 2,048 words, okay? It's from Uncanny. You can easily find it online. It might even have an audiobook available on a podcast server, because Uncanny Magazine has a podcast, and sometimes they will read off their short stories. Not all of them. Clark's World more does most of theirs, but Uncanny does a few. And I think this one's one. I read this with my eyeballs because it's so quick and it was so easy. And it literally is 10 variations of like a really shitty future. And it's both very funny and very heart-wrenching. And it's I think, so timely in terms of like how you handle when things are really bad and keep being bad. How do you also rationalize existing? And not just existing, but finding joy. And there were so many sentences and moments where I personally felt seen. So this was a very cathartic read for me. So if you're looking for a quick, cathartic read that'll probably make you feel things and maybe make you chuckle and just make you feel seen, and if you need that type of reflection in art right now, this might be a really good one. So like I said, I'll link both of those down below. If you're in my Patreon, I discuss these a lot and in more detail in the Discord server, and I am eventually, I have a spreadsheet to my right of all the things I've been reading. I'm going to rank all these short stories and talk about them all, especially as we get close to nomination season. I've been more excited about this nomination season than I've been in a while, because I feel like I actually should know things that'll end up on long lists and short lists, which feels very cool. I haven't been in the know in the short story space for quite a while. So it's been nice getting back into it. And like I said, it's been a good alternative to scrolling a lot on my phone. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at reading-wise. Like I said, knitting-wise, I'm working on this color work thing. It's just so pretty. Look how pretty that is. And they really aren't kidding. This is after I unblocked it. It really fixes so many sins. So if you're someone who's like doesn't believe in blocking and you knit, it really works, especially for color work. Like, it really, really works. But that's it for this one. Let me know what you're reading, doing, watching. We're still on Miss Maisel. That really hasn't changed in terms of our watching life. I am so far behind on other things like the new Fallout season, the new Stranger Things, the new Peacemaker. We haven't watched any of that. We've just been watching Miss Maisel like it's 2020. Like, that's all we're doing. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a ghost for Paladin of Souls, I think. Yeah, like a soul, a ghost, that sort of thing. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.